Hare Krishna. So today's Srimad Bhagavatam class given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada is on Canto 1, Chapter 7, verse 24, recorded on the 21st of September 1976 in Vṛndāvana. So that's Canto 1, Chapter 7, verse 24, recorded 21st of September 1976 in Vṛndāvana.
Characterized by.
Translation. And yet, though you are beyond the purview of the material energy, you execute the four principles of liberation, characterized by religion and so on, for the ultimate good of the conditioned souls.
सएव जीवलोकस्य मायामोहित चेतसा विदत्से सेन विज्ञेन श्रेय धर्मादि लक्षणम. So Krishna, who is described in the previous verse, Tam Adya Purusha, the original person. Original person, absolute truth, that is described in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadasya Jataha, original person, just like in our family wise or Guru Parampara wise, there is somebody original person. So, similarly, the whole creation, there is original person. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Aham asan agre, Aham asam agre. In the Vedic literature, Eka Narayana asit. So, Eko Narayana asit, that is original person. And Krishna says, Aham agre asit. So he is the original person, Adyam. In the Bhagavad Gita also it is said, Param Brahma Parangadhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Adyam. So Krishna is the original person. And if somebody questions that if Krishna is the original person, who is the origin of Krishna? Naturally, we can ask that because our experience is different. That answer is there in the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadi Adi. Anadi Adi. He is Adi Addam Purusham. But if you question who is the cause of Krishna, Anadi, he has no cause. That is God. You go on searching after, one after another. My origin is my father's origin is his father's origin his father. In this way, you go on researching, then come to Brahma. Brahma is Adi Kavi. In this material world, in this universe, Adi Kavi. Tene Brahma Rida Adi Kavi. So he is very Adi, original, first created beings. Then who is his Adi, where from Brahma is coming? That is Krishna. Tene Brahma Rida Adi Kavi. So, in this way, when we come to Krishna, making a Brahma is coming from Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Swayambhu. He is born of the lotus flower. That Garbhodakshai Vishnu is coming from Karanodakshai Vishnu. Karanodakshai Vishnu is coming from Sankarsana. Sankarsana is coming from Aniruddha from Pradyumna, like that. Ultimately, Krishna. Therefore, Krishna is Adyam. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Matta Parataram Nanya. There is no word. Well, that is God. You go on researching, Adyam, Adyam, Adyam. When you come to a point, there is no more Adyam. Oh, that is God. Ishara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadi Radi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Saiva, that Adi Purush, that original person, he comes down, descends in this material world. Jivaloka Sa. This is called Jivaloka. This material is called Jivaloka because here Atma, the soul is covered, conditioned. We have given the meaning, Jivaloka means when the Atma is conditioned, that is called Jivaloka. There is no freedom. It's like there are so many planets. You have got aeroplane, but because you have got aeroplane, you cannot go there. Condition. You cannot go. They are trying 1, 2 planets, moon planet or Mars planet. No, you cannot go there. What to speak of other planets? If you want to go there, then you have to qualify yourself. Not that because you have got a machine, you can go there. No, that is not possible. Therefore, condition. Condition means you have to fulfill the condition. Just like from here, if I want to go to America, then I have to fulfill the condition. The visa condition, the passport condition, the health condition, the custom condition, so many conditions. You cannot go immediately, or nobody can come from there also. In every respect we are conditioned. Every respect. This body is conditioned. You cannot enjoy this body unconditionally. No, that is not possible. You have to change. Dehinasmin yatha dehi kaumarang jauvanang jara. The body has to be changed. A baby has to be changed to become a boy. A boy has to be changed to become a young man. A young man has to be changed to an old man. You cannot stop that. Therefore, it is called Jivaluk, condition. Every one of us is conditioned. An animal is conditioned. He cannot, there are so many animals in the jungles. They are conditioned. They cannot come in the city or in the town. We are conditioned. We cannot go to the jungle. Condition. Every step there is condition. So that is our bondage. We are Mamaivangsha Jiva Bhuta. We are part and parcel of Krishna. Why you are conditioned? The condition is because Maya Mohita Chetasa. Maya Mohita. They are bewildered by Maya. Maya means what is not. Maya. So, because we are under the clutches of Maya, this material world, therefore we have been conditioned. And what is that Maya? That Maya is forgetfulness of our relationship with God. That is Maya. Krishna bhuliya, jeev bhogavansha kare. This jeev. When we forget Krishna, our relationship with Krishna, what is the relationship? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jiver Sarup hai Nitya Krishna Das. That is our relationship. We are eternal servant of Krishna. When we forget this and we want to be master of all I survey, I am the monarch of all I survey, I think I shall become independent and I shall enjoy, I shall improve my economic condition and I shall be very happy. This is called Maya Mohita Chetas. He will never be, because he is conditioned. You cannot improve, that is not possible. That is called destiny. So the Western people, they say, why should we animal take? You cannot improve the condition. Suppose the pig, he is conditioned to live in a very filthy place and eat stool, urine. You cannot improve that condition. By philanthropic mentality, if you want to improve his condition, not to live in filthy place, not to eat stool, if you try to give them halwa instead of stool, they cannot. That is not possible. This is called condition. Therefore, Shastra says that you are conditioned, you cannot change the condition, so there is no need of endeavoring for changing the condition. That is not possible. Daivi jesa gunamayi mama maya durattvaya, Krishna says. Maya mama maya durattvaya. It is not that. Suppose if you are in the prison house, you are shackled, you cannot improve your condition. You must be shackled. You are put in a cell, you must live there. Similarly, this is useless effort. The so-called Maya Mahita Chetasa, the whole material world is like that. They are trying to improve the condition. But that is not possible. Therefore they are called Maya Mohita Chetas. Simply he is thinking that if I do like this, if I go a step forward, I shall improve my condition. No, that is not possible. Again and again, there is described in another place that Nati vidu sarthagating hi Vishnu durashayaji bahirathamanina andajatha punah punachar vitacharvanana matinna krishne parato sato va mitho vipaddita grihabhratana grihabhratana matinna krishne. Those who have taken it a vow that I shall remain in this family life and improve my condition, grihabhratana, grihabhrata, grihastha and grihabhrata are different. Grihastha means grihastha ashram. A man is living with husband and wife or children, but the aim is how to improve spiritual life. That is grihastha ashram. And one who has no such aim, he simply wants to enjoy the senses, and for that purpose he is decorating the house, decorating the wife, children. That is called grihabhrata. Or grihamedhi. In Sanskrit there are different terms for different meaning. So, those who are grihabhrata, they cannot be Krishna conscious. Matinna Krishne parato satova. Parato means by the instruction of guru or instruction or authority, parato. And satova, sata means automatically. Automatically is not possible even by instruction. Because his vow is that I shall remain in this way, griha vṛndāvana. Matinna krishne parato satova, mitho vipaddita, mitho, but by conference, by meeting, by passing resolution, if we want to become Krishna conscious, that is not possible. It is all individual. I have to surrender to Krishna individually. Just like when you go to the sky on aeroplane, it is all individual. If one aeroplane is in danger, other aeroplane cannot save it. That is not possible. Similarly, it is all individual. It is not parato satova. One has to take it seriously, personally, that Krishna wants, so I will surrender. Krishna said, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam saranam bhaja, so I will do it. Not that when my father will do, then I shall do, or my husband will do, then I shall do, or my wife will do. No. It is all individual. It is all individual. And there is no restraint. There is no restraint. Ahito ki apratihata. If you want to surrender to Krishna, nobody can check you. Ahito ki apratihata. Jeno atma samprasidati. When you do that individually, if you collectively, if it is done, it is good. But it has to be done individually. So, because every one of us are maya mahita cheta. Maya mahita cheta. Prahlāda Maharaj has described vimukha cetasa. Maya mahita cetasa means averse to Krishna. I want everything except Krishna. That is Maya Mahita Cetasa. I want everything, but except Krishna. That is my missing point. Because we are rascal fools, we do not know what we should want. Nate vidu sarthagating hi Vishnu. He does not know that his actual want is Krishna. Just like a small child crying, and we are trying to pacify him, giving this, giving that, but he is crying, because his actual want is his mother. And as soon as the mother comes, takes the child on the lap, immediately he stops. Similarly, we want Krishna because we are part and parcel of Krishna. That we want. Just like a part and parcel of a machine. If it is taken away from the machine, it has no one screw. Suppose your typewriter machine, one screw is missing and the machine is not working nicely. So without the machine, that one screw has no value. If it is lying somewhere, one does not know what is the screw, nobody cares for it. It is no worth. But if you want to complete the machine, if you want to go to purchase it in a mechanical shop, that very screw, which has no value, you have to purchase at 10 rupees. Because it is to be fit up. In this way, we are parcel and parcel of Krishna, part and parcel of Krishna. When we are along with Krishna, we have got value. Otherwise, there is no value. There are so many examples. This finger, when it is attached to the body, if there is any trouble, you can spend thousands of rupees to cure the trouble. But if the finger is cut out, amputated, and thrown on the street, it is no value. No value. Similarly, so long we are maya mahita cetasa, out of Krishna's touch, we have no value. No value. Valueless. Useless. That is our position. Matinna Krishne parato sato va mitho. The position is that adanta govi visatang tamisram. When we forget Krishna, what is that forgetfulness? When you are interested in sense gratification, that is called forgetfulness. Everyone is, even an animal, a small insect, everyone is interested in sense enjoyment. Just this morning I was reading in the Bhagavatam, one Saubhari Muni, he was a great yogi, and within the water he was executing the yoga mystic, and he saw that the two fishes are enjoying sex. So he became sexually inclined, old man, yogi. So he went to Mandata king that you give me one daughter, your daughter. So he was within the water, old man, and old man's bodily feature is not very good. The king knew that this is a useless person, but he is a yogi, he has come to ask me for a daughter. So he said that, yes, you are welcome. I have got my 50 daughters. So anyone will like you, he can accept, I have no objection. So Saubhari Muni understood that the king has tactfully avoided to give his daughter. So he was a yogi, so he made himself very beautiful young man. That yogi can do that. They can change, because we are not this body. The body is old, it can be younger, but it can be older. Nowadays in medical science they are also doing. A man is woman is man. Body can be changed. There is no difficulty if you know the process. So he changed to be a very nice, beautiful young man. So all the 50 daughters, they become attracted. They began to fight. Oh, he is for me, he is not for you. So anyway, he accepted all the 50 daughters. In this way, he became very elevated householder. But at some time he began to think, what is this enjoyment? Simply by seeing the sex affairs of the fish, I was a yogi, I was a tapasvi, I have lost everything. Now I am a householder and pet husband of this woman. So he came to his senses. Again he went to the forest for tapasya. So this material life, however opulent it may be, it is maya mahita chetas. It is no value. It has no value. Why? Because in this life I may be very favorably situated by arrangement, by improving my material condition. But after death, dehantara prapti, you do not know. We do not know what kind of body we are going to get. It may not be as comfortable. The Kurmis, those who are little advanced than the ordinary foolish persons, there are, first of all, ordinary foolish person means animals. They are just like animals. A little above that, they are Kurmis. And little above that, there are Gyanis. And little above that, there is Yogis. And above all of them is the Bhakta. That the Bhakta life is the samambona of life. So Krishna comes here, Saeva Jiva Lokasya Mamahita Chetasa Vidhase Sena Vidyena. Krishna comes down. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita also, Jada jada hi dharmasya glani bhavati. The dharma is, I am servant of Krishna. That is my position. Dharma means characteristic. Just like sugar has to become sweet, that is dharma. A chili has to be hot. A sugar, if it is chili taste, is useless. A chili's sweet taste, it is useless. So this taste of a particular thing is called dharma. So this dharma, according to the body, is developed in this material world. But the original dharma, original is the spirit soul. That spirit soul is the part and parcel of Krishna, and his duty is to serve Krishna. That is original dharma. So, in order to teach that original dharma, Krishna comes. Jada jada hi dharmasya glani bhavati. Glani means discrepance. When the conditioned soul is, by the influence of Maya, is engaged in sense gratification, that is called dharmasya glani. Jada jada, just like nowadays, nobody is interested. The so-called educated or advanced man, if we say that you have to serve Krishna, this is not your duty. You are going to the office and earning daily 5,000 rupees, that is simply useless. Useless. It is simply waste of energy. Who will believe it? Nobody. This is a nonsense proposal. But Shastra says that dharmasyanusthita pumsa vishakshena katha sujat notpadayadaratin yadi samayiva hi kevalam. You are doing your duty very nicely. Your dharma means an occupational duty. Suppose you are an engineer. You are doing duty very nicely. Or a medical man, or a businessman, or anyone. Everyone has to do something. You cannot sit down idly and you get your livelihood. Even if you are a lion, you have to work. Nahi suptasya singhasya pravishanti mukhe mriga. This is the material world is like that. Even if you are as powerful as a lion, you cannot sleep. If you think, I am lion, I am the king of the forest, let me sleep and the animal will come and enter in my mouth. No, that is not possible. Even if you are animal, you have to catch up the animal, then you will be able to eat. Otherwise you will have to starve. Therefore Krishna says, Niyata kuru karmatyam karma jyayo akarmanam. You must do your duty. Sarira jatrapite na prasiddhe takrama. Don't think, the rascal says the Krishna consciousness movement is teaching people to escape. That becomes, no, that is not Krishna's instruction. We do not allow any lazy man. He must be engaged. That is Krishna consciousness. That is Krishna's order. Niyata kuru karma. Arjuna was refusing to fight. He was trying to be non-violent gentleman. Krishna did not allow him. No, you cannot do that. That is your weakness. Kutaste kasmalamidam visamesam. You are proving yourself rascal. It is anarja. This kind of proposal is for the anarja, uncivilized man. Don't do that. That is Krishna. So don't think that Krishna consciousness movement, those who are Krishna conscious, they will become lazy and imitate Haridas Thakur. That is not Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness means, as Krishna instructs, you must be very, very busy 24 hours. That is Krishna consciousness. Not to become a lazy fellow, eat and sleep. No. So, this is dharmasya glani. But you have to change your angle of vision. In the material condition life, your aim is how to satisfy your senses. And Krishna consciousness means you have to work in the same spirit, same vigor, but you have to satisfy Krishna. That is spiritual life. Not that to become lazy fellow. The difference is, as it is said by author Krishnadas, Atmendriya tripti mancha taranam kam. What is kam? Kam means when one desires to satisfy his own senses. That is kam. Krishnandriya tripti mancha dhare prem nam. And what is prem? Prem means when you engage to yourself for satisfying Krishna's senses. Why gopis are exalted? Because their only endeavor was to satisfy Krishna's senses. Therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended Brahma Kachi Upasana Brajabadhu Varga Bija Kalipita. They had no other business. Vṛndāvana means those who are in Vṛndāvana, if they actually want to live in Vṛndāvana, their business would be how to satisfy the senses of Krishna. That is Vṛndāvana. And not that I am living in Vṛndāvana and trying to satisfy my senses. That is not Vṛndāvana. That kind of living is, there are so many monkeys, dogs and hogs also, they are in Vṛndāvana. Do you mean to say that they are living in Vṛndāvana? No. So, anyone who wants to satisfy senses in Vṛndāvana, their next life is dogs, hogs and monkey. You must know that. So one should not try to sense gratify in Vṛndāvana. That's a great sin. Simply try to satisfy Krishna's sense. Sarvapadhi vininmuktam tatparatena nirmalam rishikena rishikesa sevanam bhakti ruchyate. That is bhakti. Rishikena rishikesa sevanam. So, in order to teach this lesson to us, the conditioned soul, Jivaloka, Krishna vidhase sena vidyena, by his own potency. And potency means if you surrender to Krishna, he has got such potency, he can deliver you from this conditioned life, jiva. He can make you purified, pure mukti, that is called mukti. When you are free from this conditioned state, this bodily conception of life, then you become free. Simply by understanding Krishna. Janma karman sati bam mein jo janati tattva takta deham punarjanma nahiti. After giving up this body, he does not get any more this material body. Then what happens to him? But takta deham punarjanma nahiti mameti. Krishna comes to call you back. So he comes back. If you take Krishna's instruction, you go back to Krishna, and again you become happy. Otherwise, maya mohita cetasa, you will have to suffer life after life. Thank you very much.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine. So Prabhupada gave a wonderful class. Thank you. And the first point that Srila Prabhupada makes is related to last week's class, the last lecture Prabhupada gave. And that is that he discusses the nature of Krishna. And that is that he's the original person. So Prabhupada quotes a Sanskrit phrase from the previous verse. Does anyone recall or notice on the TV screen the Sanskrit phrase that Prabhupada quotes that means that Krishna is the original person? Yeah, Rasananda Sankirtan Prabhuji.
I think it was the verse Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavritam Paramam Bhavam.
That was definitely one of the quotations Prabhupada provides to support that point. But he mentions Tvam Adya Purusha, which is from the previous verse, meaning that Krishna is the original person. And then he also gives various other evidences from the Vedic literatures. Like one evidence Prabhupada gives is from the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya Yataha. So he also gives at least another couple of examples or evidence from the scriptures. Can anyone recall any other quotations Prabhupada provides to support that point? Yeah, definitely. Eka Narayana Si. Anything else? Yeah.
Prabhupada quoted that Aham Evasam Evagre.
Yeah, Aham Evasam Evagre. From the Chatushloki. Yeah, definitely. So then Prabhupada goes on to mention that because in our experience we see that everything has a cause. So someone may ask that what is the origin of Krishna? And to answer this, Prabhupada quotes Brahma Samhita. Does anyone recall what quote Prabhupada gives? Yeah, say it louder, Prabhuji. Yeah. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Kiran Prabhu. So he is original, but he has no cause. That's what Brahma Samhita is saying. Lord Brahma is saying that Krishna has no cause. And then Prabhupada explains this point that when we search after a cause or the origin of something, I may search out the origin of my father, and in that way father's father, and then go on in the lineage of father, then eventually we reach Brahma. Eventually we get there. And then Prabhupada describes that Brahma is the first created being. Adi Kavaye, Prabhupada quotes. So then we may ask, okay, then where did Brahma come from? And Prabhupada then mentions that Brahma, he comes from Krishna. And then he explains how is that so. First, Brahma comes from the navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And where does Garbhodakshaya Vishnu come from? Yeah, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is coming from Karanadakshaya Vishnu, yeah. And where is Karanadakshaya Vishnu coming from? Yeah, Sankarshan. Perfect. And then where is Sankarshan coming from? Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And then ultimately, yeah, exactly. And therefore, Krishna is Tam Adya Purusham, the original person. And then Prabhupada further elaborates on his point by quoting Matta Parataram Nanyat, there's no truth superior to me. And then Prabhupada goes on to talk about the next line of the first line of the Sanskrit verse. So far, Prabhupada mentioned about Sa'eva, referring to Krishna as the original person. Then Prabhupada goes on to elaborate this term Jiva Lokasya. And he says that Jiva Lokasya means the world of the conditioned souls. So Prabhupada gives a really, really nice definition of what conditioned soul means. Does anyone recall that definition? He mentions a lot of points, but just, opening it up. Yes, Panchatattva Prabhu.
He says there's always conditions when they want to do something.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's an exact phrase that Prabhupada used. He says, condition means you have to fulfill the condition. So I really like that example because it's quite self-explanatory. And he gives another example as well. Can anyone recall, like, to do with? Yeah, with an airplane. Would you like to elaborate, Kiran Prabhu?
You want to go somewhere,
Yeah.
you have to fulfill the condition.
Yeah.
Without the mission, you can't go wherever you want.
Yeah, and if you want to fly in an airplane, what is the condition you have to fulfill?
You need visa.
Yeah, exactly. You need a visa. Yeah. Exactly. And so then Prabhupada mentions that this body is conditioned, and therefore we cannot enjoy this body unconditionally. And that's why it's called Jiva Lokasya, because there is some condition. He also gives another example of animals. And then Prabhupada mentions why are we conditioned? Why is that condition there? And that's where Prabhupada then discusses the next line of the Sanskrit of this verse. Maya mohita cetasa. And what does that mean? That means that they are bewildered by Maya. So Prabhupada gives a definition of Maya. Can anyone recall what that definition is? Yeah, Jesse. Yeah, exactly. That which is not. That is, see, Prabhupada actually gives multiple definitions of Maya to elaborate and elucidate on the principle to further deepen our understanding. So that's the first definition Prabhupada gives. Prabhupada then gives another definition as well. Forgetfulness. Anything but Krishna, yeah. So Prabhupada says Maya is forgetfulness of our relationship with God. And he quotes Chaitanya Charitamrita. Does anyone remember the quotation? It's probably there on the board. Yeah, Krishna Bhuliya Bhogavancha Kare. That when we forget Krishna, we want to enjoy. So Maya is this forgetfulness of our relationship with Krishna. So then Prabhupada systematically and logically explains the next point, which by intuition one would ask, what is the relationship then? So what is the relationship between the living entity and Krishna? And Prabhupada quotes a Sanskrit verse, which I hope is on the TV. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. And so, Prabhupada mentions this forgetfulness. When we forget this, we want to become the master, we want to become the controller, the monarch of all I survey. We want to become independent, improve our economic condition, and in that way, we'll be happy. And Prabhupada says this is Maya Mohita Cetasa. And so he'll never actually be happy. He says you can't improve that condition. And this is destiny. Prabhupada gives an example of how this condition cannot change. And this principle of we have to fulfill this condition is there. And Prabhupada gives a nice example. Does anyone recall the example which may be of somewhat humorous mood? Yeah, Jesse. Yeah, what about the hog?
The hog who is conditioned to enjoy stool and urine cannot be given halva.
Yeah, Prabhupada literally says if you try to give them halva, then instead of stool, they can't. So that was a very vivid example demonstrating this condition. So then Prabhupada elaborates to say that there's no need for endeavoring to change this condition because that's not possible. And he gives another example. He gives an example of, can anyone recall? He gives an example of the prison house, that you can't improve your condition, you're shackled. And that shackle, that cell that we're in, that is Maya Mohita Chetasa. So we're trying to improve our condition, but Prabhupada is saying it is not possible. Yeah. It's now 8:30. I think we only covered a few paragraphs, but yeah, just wondering if anyone has any final reflections they'd want to share before we conclude. Yes, Bishop.
It's a question.
Okay.
So Prabhupada explains how lust means to satisfy one's senses, and love means to satisfy Krishna's senses. And I was just wondering, I'll just read it out. Question. So why is serving others, for example, family, society, considered extended sense gratification, whereas serving Krishna is not considered sense gratification? Isn't it that, if anything, serving Krishna is the furthest extent of sense gratification? Is that correct? I don't know. It's like the most complete form of sense gratification.
I guess you could say yes, because it's sense gratification of Krishna. But Prabhupada in the lecture does elaborate on this principle of Grihastha and Grihamedi. And he quotes this verse which contains the word Griha Brata, Matirna Krishna Parato Satova. And so in that way, Prabhupada describes all the ways how, all the kind of things which don't necessarily lead to Krishna consciousness. And one of those things is this mentality of kind of enjoyment, this Griha Brata. Yeah, those who are Griha Brata, they cannot be Krishna conscious. Yeah. I don't know if that answers your question, but if I think Antaranga Prabhu would like to add to that.
You can, to a certain degree, even perform seemingly externally devotional activities, but they still can be considered to be sense gratificatory on its internal, in your internal mood. Like for instance, let's say you have pujaris which are performing puja out of prestige and position and some social acceptance, but then you have also pujaris which are performing their duties based on actually bhava, actually having some deeper sentiments and feelings for Krishna. So activity is the same, seemingly devotional, but both of them are harvesting different degrees of devotion. So you have Sakama Karma Yoga, or you have Nishkama Karma Yoga, or you have Jnana Mishra Bhakti, or you have Karma Mishra Bhakti. So these are the semi-stages between the unalloyed Bhakti, which is purely for satisfying Krishna senses, nothing for me. And that means I'm ready to do any type of menial task, but it satisfies Krishna senses, or I'm only able to perform high-ranking, socially acceptable task, service, which satisfies Krishna senses, but simultaneously satisfies my senses. So that's the difference. Mood is not visible, so therefore it's difficult to judge.
Yes, I think Govinda Prabhu would like to add.
So Bhaktivedanta Saraswati composed the phrase Matala Harijana Vishaya Rangi, meaning that the residents of the mat are intoxicated with sense gratification. And it means intoxicated because they're offering opulence to Krishna and enjoying the senses. So that's one example where Bhaktivedanta Saraswati talks about sense gratification in the spiritual way. But generally, I almost never see it in ISKCON. We talk about sense gratification. We always refer it exclusively to material. So it's just a matter of uses of words. But it is sense gratification of a spiritual type. So.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
I'm just thinking as well, like compared to when we try and satisfy the senses of material for other personalities, like family, society, etc. Although it may be done from supposedly a selfless place, only by satisfying Krishna's senses can we actually be satisfied. If we're trying to satisfy the senses of other people, then we won't actually, the rasa, there's no actual exchange there, because Krishna's not in the center, whereas Krishna is the reservoir of all rasa. So when we actually satisfy Krishna's senses, then we can, that's our true position. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, Prayojana Prabhu.
There's an interesting thing about Food for Life. It's not always, according to rules and regulations, that we can offer things to Krishna. But Food for Life somehow gets hold of all sorts of things that they still offer, even though it's not offerable according to rules and regulations. Goat's milk and this sort of thing. And I said, you can't do that, it's against the rules. He says, look, this is Krishna's. And I'll ask for his mercy to convert this into prasadam, that it will be acceptable under those conditions, that it changes the nature of our rules and regulations. It is there that he converts all those things that come his way into something that the Lord will maybe turn a blind eye to. And as Parashuram, he'll do that. And I said, well, you can't offer it to the devotees. But he says, well, if they want to eat it, that's okay. It's all right. He says, basically, satisfaction of the conditioned soul is the main thing for whatever he's got. But at the same time, if the devotees want to eat it, if they've got that understanding that he's just what he does is a pure act of mercy, nothing else. It's his heart that will change that food stuff, and Krishna will accept it. I remember that when I was in the temple commander thing. You can't do that. You can't do that. But there are, and the cook wants to satisfy the senses of the devotees. There's nothing wrong with that. It's great. It's wonderful, no matter what. So, and they'll do things that, maybe they told me that, there's no harm in trying to satisfy the senses of the devotees. The example was yeast. We're not supposed to offer yeast. It's in the mode of ignorance. And yet we do, because it satisfies the senses. But sometimes also we have to use the yeast because it'll be something, like myself. I wouldn't take the bread, but in the end I ended taking nothing. So even though I may have wanted it, and I thought, what am I doing? These people are still offering with love and devotion, these cooks, even though that they use yeast, which is, you mustn't use it according to rules and regulations, because it's a fungus.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Love and devotion is the main thing. Srila Prabhupada ki.